I rise today to honor one of Illinois' most prominent social reformers. Jane Addams had a high standard for everything that she did. The excellent becomes the permanent, she said as she worked to enact lasting social change and improve the quality of life of immigrants and the poor. She was born in Stevenson County in 1860 and graduated from Rockford Female Seminary, now known as Rockford University, in 1881. She was inspired by a meeting with social reformers in England to bring these reform efforts to her home in the state of Illinois. In 1889, she and Ellen Gates Starr opened Hull House on Chicago's west side to help the many immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe who had settled in the city. Many of those arriving in the city spoke little English and had few professions and were being crowded into tenements with their families. Hull House provided education to learn English, offered job training, child care, and a real opportunity to achieve the American dream. By the turn of the century, Hull House had grown from one house on the west side to a 13-building complex with multiple activities including literacy education and even sports and theater. Jane Addams didn't limit her vision to just Chicago, however. The success of Hull House made her a national figure, and she was soon advocating for change nationwide. President Theodore Roosevelt called her America's most useful citizen. She became president of the National Conference of Social Work in 1910 and the chairman of the International Congress of Women in 1915. She called for better living and working conditions for the poor, more education, and was a prominent voice for the drive in voting rights for women. In 1931, Jane Addams was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for a lifetime of service, the first American woman to be so honored. The momentum she set in motion with Hull House soon found expression in dozens of different organizations and government agencies. Much of the facility was eventually cleared to make way for the University of Illinois campus in Chicago, though the organization lived on into this century. The original Hull House building on Halsted Street in Chicago still stands. It was dedicated as a National Historic Landmark more than 50 years ago, and today hosts the Jane Addams Hull House Museum. Jane Addams died in Chicago in 1935. Tributes poured in, as a resolution of the city of Chicago praised her as the only saint America ever produced. And Governor Henry Horner said, her life was dedicated to a selfless service which has few parallels in the history of humanity. No person has ever scaled higher peaks. Jane Addams is buried near her birthplace in Cedarville, Illinois. I chose to honor Jane Addams today because I too chose the profession of social work. And yes, 33 years ago, I received my master's in social work from Jane Addams College of Social Work at the University of Illinois in Chicago. Thank you.